there, guys. Welcome back to Younes Talks Football. I hope all of you are doing well. The Champions League final is confirmed. It's going to be Paris Saint-Germain versus Arsenal in Budapest on the 30th of May for the Champions League itself. And PSG getting the job done today despite a late consolation from Harry Kane with 1 minute to go to make it 1-1 in today's game between PSG and Bayern Munich. PSG, you have to be honest, over two legs deserve to go through. Despite some controversy in the first half, which we're going to go over as well, but when you look at it for what it's actually worth, PSG, across two legs, I think have been class. And I want to start off with talking about PSG as a whole. PSG have become, someone said it on the watch-along in the chat, and I agreed. PSG are the new Real Madrid at this sort of level. Everything is top, elite, world-class standard. From the top in the boardroom, the resources available, the manager in charge, the director working with him, the players that they've got, how they play, how efficient they are defensively and offensively, everything. And they are the ones that are currently defending the Champions League title. They are current champions. Do you realize this is their third Champions League final in 6 years? That is something. 2020, when Thomas Tuchel was running in charge, and they lost that final. Tuchel then went to Chelsea the following year and won the Champions League at Chelsea in 21. But in 2020, PSG were in that final. 2025, last year, they were in the final again and they won it. 2026, they're in the final again and they're playing Arsenal. That is what a top, world-class, elite football club does. And they've built a phenomenal team in all departments, and they absolutely deserve to be in this final. I was praising Arsenal yesterday in relation to, their route, what they've had, how they got to the final, and the fact that they're in the final. Yeah, they deserve to be there. PSG also deserve to be there, but PSG, just the way that they play their football is mesmerizing. It's mesmerizing. They're so well-oiled, well-drilled, well-everything. Some of their players and the way that they navigate. There's some players in that team that blow my mind. And I'll give you two names in particular. And that's not taking any credit away from anyone else who I think is fantastic. But there's two names in particular in that PSG team that I just look at and go, wow. Wow. Vitinha is one. I look at Vitinha like he's the modern-day Xavi. If you remember how Xavi used to move, Vitinha's moving exactly the same way. Exactly the same way. And that midfield dynamic that he's got. João Neves, Fabian Ruiz, that trio. I love that midfield trio so much. I think that's the best midfield in football today. The best midfield in world football right now. Easily. The other name is Kvaratskhelia. This guy is a magician. What a footballer. What a flipping footballer. I'll tell you this now. And I know the Ballon d'Or tends to always be awarded to the player that has actually that's won things as well. So I think it's fair to say Harry Kane should be up for it, right, in terms of what he's done across the season and his accomplishments and his goals. And we saw his goal today, just a fantastic goal. Proper striker, right? But if we're talking about having to pick a player from the team that's actually gone and done everything, I think Kvaratskhelia deserves the Ballon d'Or as well. Today proved it. And you saw what he done earlier on in the game. He twisted Upamecano and sent him to bed. Nutmeg, 10 seconds later, twisted him, went round him again. Fun. The assist for the goal, Kvaratskhelia. Little 1-2, beautiful, into space. And this is where Bayern Munich let themselves down. Defensively, they let themselves down. But Kvaratskhelia, what a footballer. And then you look at the overall setup and the way that they move. Everyone in their positioning, their movement, their tempo, their accuracy, their passing, and today, unlike the first leg, they're defending. PSG were much better structured than they were in that first leg. Positionally, they were fantastic. They were cutting off all the lanes that Bayern Munich would normally try and exploit. This is why we didn't see too much from Harry Kane. This is why Elise kept running into trouble. This is why Luis Diaz tried his best to make things happen and he kept cutting inside, trying to find the gap. There was never a gap. PSG today, super organised. But where does that come from? Look at Luis Enrique. What a flipping gaffer they've got. The guy is just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So this is why going into this, PSG, you'd think if there's going to be one team that gets the job done against Arsenal, it's going to be PSG, not Bayern Munich. Now, I will say this about Bayern Munich. Today, I don't think they did enough, right? I don't think they did. However, there were some decisions that we have to call out that did not make any sense in that first half. I can't use that as an excuse as to why Bayern Munich didn't go through, though, and I'll tell you why in a sec. But for me, there's two decisions that went against Bayern Munich that should have been in their favour, and I don't know how it wasn't. First one, Nuno Mendes and the handball. That should have been the second yellow. He stopped the ball, it's his arms up, he stopped the ball in its path, it's a yellow card. He was already on the yellow, that should have been a red. The game changes if PSG are down to 10 men. So we have to bear that in mind. Minutes later, not even minutes, a minute later. Was it Marquinhos, or I forgot who it was, who's tried to clear the ball? And again, I forgot what player it was. What player was it? Was it Neves? So I forgot who, but his arm is up. His arm is up, literally like this, right? Or actually, it's the following arm. Ball comes, he's turned, he's got his arm up like that, and it's hit him on the arm in the box. Now, let me make things perfectly clear, because some people are going to bring up the rule, and the rule is correct, yes. If the ball hits your hand, and the kick is from your own teammate, it's not a penalty. Except, you see, this is what people ignore, because people read that rule and go, okay, no pen. No, except... this is the underlying factor here. If the arm is in an unnatural position, then it is a penalty. His arm was up here. If his arm was down and it's clipped and it's hit him, I get it, right? Cool. Not a pen. But when you're turning, and people are going to say, but he turned, he wanted to protect himself. When you turn, how do you do it? You turn, you do that. I don't see anyone turn and go, it doesn't make any sense. But he had his arm up. Boom. I'm sorry, that's a pen. For me, that's a penalty. Game changes there. It'll be very easy now for me to turn and say, okay, but that's what's held Bayern Munich back. That's why they've been robbed. And we would know, yeah? If we're going to talk about a robbery, as a Chelsea fan, I know. 2009, 4 penalties not given against Barcelona in semi-final, and this is the difference. When you do everything possible, and you have the game in control, and now you're getting robbed, and that's influenced and helped the opposition to take the game from you, that's a robbery. In this scenario, that was all in the first half. Bayern Munich still had the second half to get everything done, and they just weren't potent enough. They did not do enough. They weren't testing. They weren't testing Safanov enough. They weren't doing enough. So it would be hard for me to come on and say you had 60 odd minutes to actually still get something done and you didn't do it. It's not really a robbery in that case. Yes, a couple of things could have gone in your favour. I get that, but overall, PSG still did more, and that's why PSG deserve to go through, and that's why they're in the final. Talking about the final itself and Arsenal, look, I'll be honest. If Bayern Munich made it to the final, my money would be on Arsenal. I think Arsenal did beat Bayern Munich. And in fact, they've already done it earlier on in the season, in the Champions League, in the league phase. I think Arsenal get through Bayern Munich's high line. I think Arsenal can defend enough to try and prevent Bayern Munich's world-class attack. I don't think Bayern Munich put 3 or 4 past Arsenal. They might get 1 past if you know, because they've got quality in there. And that's where I think Arsenal could get the job done. Against PSG, though, different ball game, different story. And I think PSG will get the job done. PSG are just so strong in every department. I think Arsenal will struggle. Arsenal's solid point is their defence. They try to be resolute. They try to be compact. They try to sit deep. PSG have the attack and the team to get through. They're probably the only team in world football right now that you could stick any defence in front of them and they'll get through. They'll find ways. So I'm looking forward to that final. We're going to be covering it here on the 30th of May. Make sure you're here for that watch long as well. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But the final is done. It is concluded. It's going to be PSG versus Arsenal. Congrats to PSG. And we're in for one hell of a feast. So let me know your thoughts down below. Much appreciated. Subscribe, notification bell on. And I'll catch all of you tomorrow for a new one. Have a good one, people. See you then. Take care. And peace.